All right, so welcome to another episode of Pablo'S podcast. Today I have a special guest. We're going to get straight into it. We got Ephraim Gomez today. He is a student of Pace Morby, and he is the go-to sub-2 guy in Kern County, and specifically here in Bakersfield. And I've known Ephraim for a short time, and I'm already loving our relationship and just, brainstorming ideas for all things real estate. So without further ado, let's get into it, man. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I want to start off with the same question I ask most people. How did you get started in real estate? And just kind of tell us your story.
Man, okay. So about 17 years ago, right? 2006. There was a couple years before that. Before 2006, I actually, my mom was in the lending industry. Okay, so
she was a lender?
She was, loan officer through Gateway Bank Mortgage. And I remember going there and, kind of visiting her at the office and stuff. And I'm like, hey, you know what? This seems kind of cool. I like this. At the time, I was working in the oil fields, and also wanted to get more involved in the real estate. So started kind of going there, helping her out with loans, figuring out how the process works, title, escrow, all the things. And in that process, I met a gentleman by the name of Cedric Crawford, kind of came by, and he was a real estate investor. Came in and spoke to us about what he does a little bit, did a little 30-minute conversation. And I loved it. I said, man, I want to do that. So kind of fast forward 2 years more, 2006, I decided to kind of finally pull the trigger as far as an investing side goes. And I found a guy by the name of Marco Rubel. Okay. It was, I believe, infomercials back then. They used to have the infomercials on TV, and it stated the pretty house business, and I said, oh, a pretty house business? What's he talking about? It sounds good to me, right? Yeah. Like everyone else is going after the ugly houses. And so I started digging deeper into it. And long story short, he had a 5-day seminar that he did down in Los Angeles, decided to pay the $4,000 or $5,000 to go do that. Found out that he's purchasing properties through Subject 2 at that time.
This was a while back, before it was a fad.
Yes, and he was already doing it from the late 90s, at this point. Yeah, so before it was a fad, before Pace Morby blew it up and made it popular. For sure. So 2000, that was maybe 2005, I would say. I kind of went and took that course and went all in. He sent us home, right, with this huge case full of DVDs and binders, right? And he's like, okay, you just learned everything you need to know in 5 days. You retain maybe 10% of that. Tons of notes. Here's a big box full of everything you need. Take it home and learn the rest.
That's awesome.
And I was like, okay, it's cool, right? But then I was like, I didn't retain all the information. So luckily I knew Cedric. Cedric was already doing this from the 90s, at that point.
Here locally?
And lo and behold, he was doing Subject 2. So it just so happened I connected with him. He kind of put me under his wing and taught me the rest. You know? Yeah. So the rest.
So that's how you got your foot in.
That's how I got my foot in.
A matter of a couple of years and
about 2 years. Yep. And then really learned Subject 2. Bought my first property, Subject 2, back in 2006.
That's crazy.
June of 2006, man.
2006. Yeah, I see. And most of us over here who are not familiar with Sub 2 think, oh, it's just a couple of years that it started. With Pace Morby and as a fad, but it's been around for a while.
It's been for a long time.
Now, was it called Sub 2 back then?
So yes,
I don't think, was it?
Yeah,
okay.
we still called it Subject. It was more Subject 2.
Subject 2, yeah.
He kind of coined
Sub 2 just sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds cool, right? And it's easier to put on hats and shirts.
Easier to market.
Yes. So it was called Subject 2 back then, and it was basically taking over the mortgage subject to the existing lien staying in place.
Yeah. Explain that. Explain because a lot of the people that watch this are interested in, I think, in real estate in general. I'm obviously licensed, but I also do flips, off market. This building I purchased less than a year ago, as I shared with you before. Hard money, private money. So no money out of my pocket to buy this building, which is almost doubled in value.
Yes.
And so a lot of people think that they need money to be able to get into real estate or a license, but there's a world out there. You're not licensed.
No.
Never been licensed.
Never been licensed.
Never been interested in being licensed.
Never wanted to be licensed.
Yeah, and you've probably done more real estate than your average agent out there.
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
I just had a conversation with an agent 2 days ago, right? I think it was Monday, and he stated, I've been an agent for 21 years. And I don't even own my own property, right? And I don't have any rentals.
Yeah.
So what I've done in the last 17 years just blew his mind.
That's crazy.
Like, it's crazy. You know, he's like, I've just been a servicing person of the industry for the last 21 years.
Yeah. And I probably had a similar reaction to him in just kind of like my own self-learning. So after 17 years of being licensed, started flipping, started looking into how do I borrow other people's money, OPM. I blew myself away learning that stuff, just reading and YouTubing.
Yes.
Kind of following people like Pace Morby, Ryan Pineda. Like I knew about flipping, TV.
Of course.
Had flipping for a while, right? I mean,
Chip and Joanne. All
yeah.
Same thing.
It's been around for a while, but once you start doing it and you realize like this is like true entrepreneurship here. Like,
yes,
I've got to run the show here,
Yes.
Whereas in real estate, you're at the mercy of your buyer, you're at the mercy of your seller, your clients. You work for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, I posted, you saw it, I posted recently, this is a Pace Morby. He was probably reposting something, but he said it. If you're a licensed agent, if you're an escrow officer, you think you're in real estate, but you're really not in real estate. You're doing real estate, but you're servicing someone else. You're working for people who are in real estate. You're working for a client who's buying real estate. Yes. That's the person actually in real estate.
100%.
Right. 100%. So I think you learned that 17 years ago.
Early on.
Yeah. I'm not going to be the person selling it. I'm going to be the person investing in real estate.
Marco Rubel actually taught me that.
Yeah.
He's like, hey man, in order to be in real estate, right, you got to own and buy and purchase real estate. And trust me, that thought crossed my mind, Pablo, back then was like, I thought about it, right? And I was like, should I get my license? Okay. The only thing that really would have benefited me in my eyes at that time, maybe two things. Having access to the MLS was huge. Okay.
Yeah.
But Marco's like, just partner up with somebody that gives you access. Okay. Right. So I was able to get that out of the way. And then the second thing was like, when some of these properties need to go on market, right? The best option for that seller is to sell it on market.
Yeah.
So then, you can, if you have a license, right, you can post it on market and you still make some money. But then I would constantly be having to take off the licensed realtor hat and put on the investor hat. You know this, being in the industry. And I got to make sure I disclose that.
Yeah.
Right. That was the other thing. So there's certain things that I knew I could not do, or at least I had to notify people that I'm doing if I did have my license.
Yeah, I just found out through EXP. I didn't know this until recently. I bought this vacant lot. I got it below market, under my LLC, and I go to list it, and I get a buyer. I told the buyer, hey, it's my property. I'll list it, and he goes, well, you can represent me. And I get an email from EXP saying, no, you can't do that on your own properties. They accept dual agency.
Okay.
You can double end a deal with EXP, no problem. But when you own the property,
that's right.
They're like, no, we don't allow that. Okay. So I go, so then what's the solution? Well, someone in your office can represent them. It's just, it can't be you.
Yeah.
Or they can go unrepresented.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay. Yeah. Save the commission and just keep it myself and, and get the credit for it, whatever. And that's how I did it. Just did it unrepresented.
There's ways around everything, right? But I just didn't want to have to worry about navigating through those guidelines.
Right.
For me, I was like, well, I'd rather not worry about that, Pablo, and let someone like you worry about that. You know? So I'd rather just hire people like yourself. Yeah,
for sure, man. I mean, and obviously that's what we do. We're used to that. So talk to me, two things. So talk to me about like the actual ins and outs of sub 2. Like, what does it look like? How do you find those deals? And what is a sub 2? How do you structure that? And do you have a hard time explaining it to agents? Two questions there.
Yeah, of course, man. I personally do not have a hard time explaining to agents because I feel that I've had the experience though. Okay.
Yeah.
So 17 years it took me to get to this point. Sure. It took me 8 months to find my first deal though. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
8 months.
So yeah, from the start so I actually went on.
It took my son 7 months to find his first off-market deal.
Absolutely, man. I tell people this, all the time. I've been doing it, 3 months. Well, keep going. You got to keep trying.
Yeah,
it's not going to.
It snowballs too. Like it just keeps going.
Once you get the first, and the second comes, and the third, right?
Right.
But yes, man, it took me that long. So in the very beginning, it was me sending out letters. There wasn't really so much as like text blasting back then.
Sure.
I think I barely had a cell phone. You know what I'm saying? I think Blackberries just came out or something like that. There was no CRMs. There was no YouTube University, you know. You were either an investor, in my opinion, or a bird dog. Okay. And what a bird dog was back then is these investors with the money, hey, I'll pay you a referral fee for any property that you bring to me that I purchase.
Right.
That's what that was called back then. There was really no like wholesaling. It wasn't sexy as like it is now, right?
Yeah.
Now wholesaling sexy. Everyone can
popular.
go watch, you know, YouTube University and become a wholesaler.
Sure.
You know, really couldn't do that back then. So for me, it was back then was way different than what I'm doing now, of course. You know? It was a lot of mailers, you know, it was a lot of door knocking. I did a lot of door knocking. That's how I found my first few deals. But nowadays it's, a lot of my deals are just coming through word of mouth, to be honest with you. You know?
Networking,
people, your network is your net worth, right?
Yep.
You know, it really is. It sounds corny to say, but it's true. You know, the more people I network, so social media, I'm getting leads, right? Instagram, Facebook, our website that we have, you know, just people calling me. If I look into my phone right now, I probably have 7 to 10 leads in this last 2 days.
Wow.
Just from, and they're all because every single one of them are sub-2 or creative finance leads.
Right.
Okay.
Because you've put it out there, you put yourself out there, you've met them, you've talked to them, you spent that, you've invested time into these people, into agents, into people
100%.
that you're surrounded with.
Hours and hours and hours of time.
Yeah. My daughter, she's working on getting her license, and I tell her, like, dude, the best thing you can do right now is start surrounding yourself with those people that you know are going to be your future clients, because real estate doesn't come easy. Like most people think, I had some agents here who used to think that when they became licensed, that we would just give them listings, that we would just give them, like, you know, and they actually thought that. Yeah. And I go, no, dude, like, you got to go find it. You got to go call your family, call your network, you know, and build it and call them, and you're going to get deals from there. Yeah. But no, unless you want to go to like a new house tract where you sit there, but that's, you know, that's different, right? And so they were kind of surprised. They didn't know.
I see that as more like a job too. If you're just sitting there every day, you know, I mean, you can get those people that come in, but you're kind of working a 9 to 5, in my opinion, you know. But yeah, it takes time and effort, you know what I'm saying, Pablo, really to build, to be able to start getting these leads. Yeah.
So you I think you answered the second question in terms of like explaining to agents, but go through what a sub-2 looks like. How do you find it? And what does it look like to structure a sub-2?
Okay. So basically what it looks like to structure most of my sub-2 deals, it's going to take me 5 to 7 conversations with either an agent or a seller. Okay. First and foremost, to even let them know what I'm trying to do, right? Okay. This is what I'm trying to do here. It's unorthodox. It's a little outside of the box. I work in the gray area, not black and white. So let me explain to them first what this really is. So just getting over that sort of hill in the beginning takes some time, you know? So there's plenty of conversations there, and then we're going back and forth, and then we let them know it depends. Let's say like the 3 I have in escrow right now, every single one of them is a sub-2 with a seller finance attached. So I like to call them hybrids, right? Yep. They have equity in the property. Correct. 100,000 to 200,000 with the 3 that I have in escrow right now. So now it's a way of structuring how that's going to look, right? Sure. So not only do I have to explain how this works, once they understand that and they're okay with me taking over that existing mortgage, the mortgage will stay in their name, right? But the deed will get transferred to me and my LLC. Right. Okay.
So you'll be responsible.
Yes. I am now the sole owner of that property, even though the mortgage is still in their name. That doesn't matter. Got it. Most people don't understand that.
So sub-2, you're basically taking over the mortgage.
Yes.
And it could have equity or could not have equity?
Can have equity, cannot have equity.
So how are you making money off of something like that?
One of like 3 ways, right? I'm either taking it over and I'm fixing and flipping it. Okay. Okay. Some of them I'm wholesaling, right? Okay. Yep. So then I'm gonna package the deal together and I'm gonna go wholesale it to another buyer, and that buyer is gonna pay me an assignment fee. So I'm making money that way. And the third way is I'm gonna buy and hold it. Now, I'm not really making money right away on a buy and hold, right? Sure. You know, I'm putting out my own money to put in my portfolio, but on the long-term goal is where I'm buying and holding. So those are the 3 ways that I'm
So essentially you're taking over a mortgage and you're finding creative ways to make either money now on maybe some cash flow, or in the future where you maybe flip it or hold it long-term where it grows in equity. Okay. And you mentioned you put some money into it. So I think something that you and I both do is we leverage private money lenders, correct?
Yes.
So how are you finding people like that?
Private money lenders?
Yeah. How are you
Man.
convincing people to give you money?
You know, a lot
You're
of
like, hey, I need your money.
you know, a lot of the ways I'm simultaneously doing that while I'm building my business. Okay.
Yeah.
So as I'm going out there and I'm buying these properties, I'm posting on my social media. I'm letting people know
Sure.
what I do, right? Pace Morby says it best. He says, go out there and start getting loud, right?
Yeah.
Doing like what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Start a YouTube channel. Let people know what you're
Put
doing.
it out there.
Okay. Put it out there into the universe.
They don't know who we are until we.
They don't.
You know?
They don't. You know, Pace Morby just closed somebody yesterday on the phone on a live Zoom.
Yeah.
Right. And they were like, well, how do I know who you are? He goes, just Google me.
Yeah.
Pace Morby. So as they're talking, she's Googling. She's like, oh, YouTuber.
Yeah.
You're on a TV show. He's like, I own, 300 such and such
Yeah.
properties.
You've got a reputation.
You got a reputation.
Yeah.
So I understand you got to build that, right? So as I'm doing that on the back end now, when I'm talking and I'm buying these properties, right? Some of my sellers become my private money lenders.
This one right here, this building is a private money lender that was a past client of mine, a doctor who I took to breakfast. Mm-hmm. And he was even surprised like that I was gonna pay. I'm like, no, I'm gonna pay for your meal, dude. Like, I'm gonna pitch something to you right now, And he was good with it. He loved it. 100%. He's like, yeah, because he's got cash.
Yes.
It's sitting in the bank. He's paying taxes. He's, he wants to make some return on that cash. So
I call those high income earners, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the high income earners are going to be focused on what they're doing for a living, right? To make that $1, $2, $3, $4, $500,000 a year. They're not concerned on where the money's going to go, but they're paying a lot in taxes, right?
Yeah.
So if I can come in and step in and let them understand why investing into real estate is good for them for tax purposes.
Absolutely.
So I have private money lenders and I have private money partners is what I have on my deals.
Gotcha.
Okay. Some of them come in.
Yeah, because you do something different. I've never given any equity. Yes. I've always liked having 100% like
control.
This is mine, and it's not because like selfish reasons. It's just I don't want anyone having a say on how I do something, right? And or if I want like an exit plan, I want it to be my exit plan. So it might sound
I don't like the gray. I want it white.
Yeah. I this building, I got, I did pitch it to someone as almost like a partnership, and dude, I'm glad I didn't. Like I'm 100% happy that it went this way.
Absolutely.
And more out of my pocket, but the end result, I mean, almost double in value, and I get to keep that 100%. If I decide to sell it, right? I can decide to keep it and use it for my purposes, rent it out.
Ultimately, your decision now to do whatever you want with this building.
Yeah.
So I don't use private money partners on all of my deals, right?
Yeah.
But on certain ones, I don't mind it.
Sure.
I'd rather have
if it makes sense.
Well, it has to make sense, right?
Yeah.
Somebody told me this one time. I'd rather have half a watermelon than a whole grape. You know. And so when you look at that in the bigger picture, right? Like I'm trying to create half a watermelon here. You know, I can have plenty whole grapes, and make a little bit of money, but I wouldn't be able to buy the 2 to 3 properties a month that I'm buying now if I was just using all of my own income, right?
Right.
So some of them are private money lenders where they're going to get their money back, with the rate of return. We all understand what that is. And then the other ones, yes, I'm giving them equity. An equity share in the property, an equity share on the tax benefits, and an equity share on the net proceeds that come in every single month. So for them it's a win-win. They're like, how come I've never thought about this?
Right.
I'm like, well, not everyone's willing to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember your first private money lender and how that conversation went?
First private money lender, yes. Well, my first deal ever was a hard money lender who was also a private money, but it was his money. Okay. So he's hard money. And it was
brokers, right? They essentially have the PMLs.
Yes.
And they
it was
broker
his family's money.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was using his family's money, becoming a hard money lender. Yeah. So technically it was still kind of private, right? Yeah. But he charged me like 2 points, I think, up front.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what that interest rate was on that very first one 17 years ago. It was probably.
I do no points up front on my private money lenders.
Yeah.
I've been
For private money, no points, but a hard money lender. So
yes, that's true.
So that's what he was a hard money lender. And my very first private money lender, I think, was on like my 5th or 6th deal. I think I gave them 6% interest rate of return or something in like 2008 or somewhere around there when the market was crashing and all this stuff was
6%.
going. Yeah,
good.
It wasn't bad back then. It was a family member too. And I think it was like $50,000.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that was my very first one. Now they're wanting. I'm giving them average of 10 to 12% now.
Yeah.
It's got to be worth it for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let's pause for a quick second. Okay, we're at 20. Okay, cool. We're getting the yellow light. So I was going to ask you one more question before we finish up. What do you kind of see the bigger purpose for you, like in life in general? I know that's a deep question, but what's kind of your purpose ultimately and goal in life, and how is real estate serving that purpose?
Man, a deeper purpose for me.
I think everybody wants to have purpose and meaning in life.
Absolutely.
Not just be like, living day to day and existing. And
I'm a firm believer in God,
amen.
100%. That's awesome, man. And that's why we resonate.
Yeah.
Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Sure.
It's true, and this is why we get along.
Yeah.
That's another reason. So for me, man, every day I'm like, okay, you tell me what path you want me to be on. Okay. If this is the path that's meant for me, how can I go help others though at the same time?
Yeah.
So for me, it's how much can I give back to everyone for free? Okay.
Sure.
And people ask me this all the time. I was literally on a phone call this morning with a new sub 2 member for an hour and a half. I mean, he's like, Efren, thank you so much for pouring into me. All this. He's super green. I think bought a house. That's all he's ever done in his life. Doesn't know anything else.
Yeah.
So I'm pouring back into him because to me, man, whatever you put out, right? Just like the book, The Go-Giver, it's the Bible, man. It really is, whatever you put out, you're going to get back. Okay.
Absolutely.
So for me, man, it's just giving as much as possible. I think that's my purpose in life, giving the knowledge that I've created over these 17 years and go give it out there for free. And how can I help people?
There's a verse in the Bible in the Old Testament that I think is overlooked. People forget about it, but it's God's promise to Abraham about making him, a father of many, right? And making him abundant, giving him abundance. Yeah. But for the purpose of, and I think the wording is, I'm going to bless you so that you can be a blessing to many nations, he says.
That's exactly right.
It's like, dude, there's purpose there. Like, you're going to be blessed so that you can bless others. And, in my case, I've got a family, and so I've got to take care of my family. I've got to bless them and teach them how to serve others, and in the meanwhile, serving others too. But, for me, my ultimate goal is to be able to do, and I got this phrase from a recent book, to be able to do anything I want with whomever I want, whenever I want. Yeah. That's like true freedom.
Yeah.
And that could be, going to Ensenada and building tiny homes on the weekend.
I saw you guys did that.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
I mean, having the freedom to do that, right?
Yes.
Or being able to go, hopefully we're planning here on doing a trip to Rwanda.
Okay.
And helping out at they have a school, a Christian school there.
Oh, nice.
Has been transforming the lives of these kids, and it's pretty cool. But, those are some of the ministries out there that we want to be a part of. But, eventually you want to get out there and do more. So help your own community as well.
Well, speaking on that, helping my own community, what God recently put in my heart, and I'm doing my first house right now as we speak, is transitional housing.
Yes, you mentioned that.
So
you mentioned that,
and I was like, "Why?
That's so cool.
I don't know what's going on here, but if it's meant to be, it will, right? And if it's not, it won't." So I had a property where it was like, okay, 50-50 that it was going to go into escrow and I was going to buy it.
Sure.
Well, it happened that I bought it, right? And it's going to be my first transitional house. So for the homeless, for veterans, for battered women, for all the things that you can think of, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to provide housing now for them, right?
Yeah.
And utilize my money, my funds, all privately funded.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking for money from anyone else, but I'm putting this into it to help those people.
That's awesome, man.
So
look up Elizabeth House in Pasadena.
Elizabeth House.
Okay. I'll send you a link, but I'll finish off with this cool little story. But I was a college pastor, and we used to go to this house. It was a house in Pasadena. It's called Elizabeth House, and they housed young women, not always young women, but women who at one point considered aborting their kid because they had no outlet.
Okay.
And they would take these women in, pregnant, and basically become like just nurturing to them, right? They would do Bible studies, but they teach them real skills, how to cook, how to clean, how to apply for jobs.
Okay.
It was an awesome nonprofit. And my job as a college pastor was to take my youth to become aware of it, and we'd just go have quick devotion and ice cream with them.
Yeah.
You know, and if they had like fundraisers, we'd go to those fundraisers. But it was awesome, man.
And
It was,
see how that's amazing.
it's a transitional.
It's so good.
home.
And we can go there and we can, like you said, have devotions and
Yeah.
talk to them. It's my house. You know, I can walk
Absolutely.
in whenever I want
Yep.
and be like, what is it that you guys want to do? How can I help you get to the
Right.
next level in life? Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing to me, right? You know,
It gave them
it's-
hope, man.
It
gave
really
them
does.
a lot of
Help
hope.
them maybe connect them with jobs, you know,
Yeah.
local companies in town to help them get back on their feet. Like, to me, that's worth all this and 100 times over, you know,
Right.
is being able to do that now.
Yeah.
Use my money to go and provide this house.
That's
for
awesome.
people. So,
I always knew you were a good guy.
Thank you, man.
You
Thank
got a
you.
good
I
heart.
appreciate- I
I
appreciate
always
that.
got that from you from our first meeting. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you coming on, man, and
Yeah.
thank you for we'll have to do this again for sure.
Yeah, we will. We will.
When you take over Pace Morby Kingdom.
Oh man, no, I'm just,
you're the Pace Morby of Central Cal, man.
I'm just trying to do my part here.
Yeah,
in
no,
Kern
no, I-
County, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're doing good, man. Your name's getting out there, and I
you.
appreciate you, like even just pouring here, coming here and
Absolutely.
pouring on us as well. So I appreciate it, man. And and thank you guys for checking this video out. If you want more information, make sure you click the link below and subscribe and like this video. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.